Still on the topic of connectivity, which we haven't exhausted, I am going to start off with my immediate left, a gentleman wearing a suit, and he is Mr. Thomas Melin, Head of External Relations for UN Habitat and the coordinator of the Open UN Habitat Transparency Initiative, an open data site of the organization's activities. Next to him, in a white shirt, must be Lukonga, Lindunda, who has traveled all the way from Zambia, Lusaka, to be with us today. He is the founder and manager of the BongoHive, a place for Lusaka's tech community to meet, swap experiences, and attend training, networking, and hackathon events. Next to Lukonga is Caroline Ngugi, the business development manager at Shimba Technologies, whose mobile application MedAfrica has won several awards for its ability to provide mobile phone users with access to healthcare. And lastly, but not least on this panel, we have Ms. Jessica Colaco, the head of research at the iHub, a similar innovation hub founded by the people behind Ushahidi, whom we heard from earlier on, to give other innovators a space to work from and exchange ideas and to learn. Over to you, Jessica.
Thank you very much, John, and it's a pleasure to be here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, in Nairobi. The theme today is empowering communities through connectivity, and connectivity can have different contexts. It can be internet, but the audience that we have here and the panelists that we have here is that connectivity can mean connecting groups together through hubs like the iHub and BongoHive and applications, and through the work Thomas is doing. And with that, I'd like to kick off with Thomas and tell us more about how you're empowering communities through connectivity. Thomas?
Well, it's true that the world is really urbanizing, and we are getting new cities. The existing ones are growing. But cities, they have to work, they have to function, and when they have to be planned. And we are, at UN Habitat, we are developing together with a Swedish gaming company, Mojang, an application which is called Block by Block. And this is developed from the game that this company has been created, Minecraft. And what it does is that it gives us a possibility to, together with a young population in different communities, to create their environment. And we can plan their future environment together with them in a gaming language, a language which these young people know because they have already been there and they have been playing Minecraft and similar games. So they understand what this is much better than if a planner would come with a drawing and a pen and then try to create their future. And this gaming planning tool gives us a possibility to then talk to the majority of the population, because in the cities in Africa, population is actually more than 50% is younger than 20 years of age. So we have to develop tools which is for the young generation. And this is what we have managed to do together with this gaming company. In addition, it actually gives us connection to several million gamers that can participate in dialogue together with the youth in these countries where we are working. This is now being piloted here in Kibera, in Nairobi.
Thomas, I think that's a very innovative way of connecting the community around through gaming. And gaming has become a platform whereby we can connect people globally, that we've seen from examples from Ma3 Racer. And these are games developed by young people at innovation hubs. And with that, Lukonga, how are you connecting people in your community? Is it through gaming, through the internet? How is that happening? What kind of a platform are you providing?
So for us, we started in May 2011. The biggest need was simply to have a local community. But above that, to just provide a space, internet connection, just a couple of tables for us to be able to meet together, attend training events. When we started, we didn't have any funding, so the focus first was how do we get internet. lucky enough, I was working for an international organization, NGO, which had some extra bandwidth. So we just tapped into that. And every weekend we used to meet together to learn together. And over time we have grown. We're now 300 members, and we've seen some applications already come out. But it's important to realize that we started from nothing, and we concentrated on having a Facebook group, Twitter page as well, a website, things which were virtual and would help us to grow. So the internet really helped us to grow as a community, and now we are seeing people in their homes using their dongles, some developers using low-cost methods to improve their knowledge. So the internet has been very powerful for us. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just see an example from virtual connection to the physical connection, a very similar example of what happened with the iHub, the genesis of Ushaidi, what started from a virtual platform to people meeting at bar camps, and then the iHub set up in March 2010, people meeting physically in a physical space to empower each other. And through that, what has happened is given rise to the entrepreneurial community within Nairobi, and has given rise to startups, namely MedAfrica. Tell us, Carol.
Thank you very much, Jessica.
Yes.
Okay, so MedAfrica started under the backdrop that Kenya has 7,000 doctors who serve a population of 42 million people. So there was seen to be a need in regards to how can health information and content be disseminated to the masses. Hence, a mobile application was developed. So key to note is that from the application, you can be able to search for a doctor. We don't have like the one-stop shop where you can be able to even authenticate whether the person who's claiming to be a doctor is really a doctor. We don't have, like in Kenya, even a place where you can be able to search for a hospital in case of an emergency. Like how many people are very versed with the Go Down Center area, such that if an accident happened here, what's the nearest hospital? So MedAfrica pretty much is a platform that enables such services be available to the masses, because at the end of the day, health is a universal need, and people need access to the information. And as the digital age continues growing, there's that need for information even about health facilities and services being available. Because at the end of the day, people between the ages of 18 to 40, they're the people that, when an issue crops up, the first thing they think about, let me Google it. So MedAfrica is pretty much like the Google of healthcare in Kenya. We're trying to reach there. We're 10 months stronger. We're still growing.
Well, we've seen what connectivity can do from a virtual aspect to a physical aspect, and it has its pros and cons. And the pros that you've heard, the advantages is that it makes smarter cities, mind share through gaming, from what Thomas is doing. Physical space, bringing communities together to share the mind share of applications, skill set sharing, as what Lukonga and what the iHub is doing as well. And also what MedAfrica is doing to empower the community there with health information through the data and internet. But I'd like to ask the panelists here, is apart from the advantages, what kind of cons have you been having through the connectivity issues? And we'll start with Carol.
So the first con has been the ideology of, first of all, people believing that you really need to have a smartphone to access some of these applications. Like, for example, I say MedAfrica on any feature phone that has internet access, you can be able to access that. And even we're moving towards, as the people who are in the technological space, how do we even develop an IVR and even USSD system platform that people with the low-end phones can be able to access that. So I think it's just a mindset shift in regards to how people think in society, in regards to getting a solution. Because there are those people who, for them, they're like, awesome, I can really get even the hospital in my constituency being listed there. But then for the people who are not that technologically savvy, they're a bit afraid.
Thanks, Carol. Now, Lukonga, bandwidth is a very scarce resource, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Zambia is a landlocked country. We have about 9 neighbors. And it has been very expensive, actually, to get fiber routes into Zambia. And we are always promised that costs will go down. I say always promised because it's always difficult to actually get to the lowest cost, especially when ISPs spend so much millions of dollars to actually get the fiber routes into the country. So what we are seeing now is, of course, people are using a lot of mobile internet. We, as BongoHive, haven't settled yet on one ISP. We are still trying a number. It's very difficult to get a stable connection still in Zambia. But again, we are still promised that a connection and costs will reduce by the end of the year. But the competition is really up in Zambia to provide stable connectivity, and we are seeing great strides in doing that. The government has been also making sure that the infrastructure is there. The question now is whether there is enough content that can ride on this infrastructure. Yeah.
Well, I'd like you to go deeper into that, because at the iHub we have Zuku providing a 20 MB connection, and we see a lot of people trying to create content on blogs onto their sites. What kind of content are you creating at BongoHive? What are your members actually focusing on, and what kind of traffic is actually flowing on your internet connection at BongoHive?
All right, so what kind of traffic is going through our network? Unfortunately, a lot of people are torrenting, so that's another issue. But when people talk about mobile apps, so the first thing has been, let's create mobile apps and let's have people connected. But most of people in Zambia still don't have smartphones. So you see a lot of people now changing mindsets to focus more on SMS technologies and also on web apps. But we're still getting there. An ISP has come to us. They are on a mission to create content, to increase the amount of Zambian content. So they've come to us, they've said, what can we do for the developers in Zambia, for the BongoHive community, can we reduce costs so that more people can use the .zm domain as opposed to going to the .com? So it's something that we've seen now. ISPs are coming to the community. They want content, and they want to come up with incentives to increase the amount of content, Zambian content, that is. Yeah.
Okay. Thomas, tell us a little more about smart cities and how smart cities are connecting all cities globally.
The fact that cities has to function, and they have to function fairly cheap, because we are getting more and more people into cities. Now, the smart city gives us a possibility and gives the mayor and his staff a possibility to very quickly get informed about what is functioning, what is not functioning in my city, where is there a flood coming in because of the rain that was this night, where is the waste going, and people can contact immediately on issues which cannot be solved by the community on their level. That has to be up on another level. Now, what we do in UN Habitat is also that we connect cities with cities, so they can learn from each other. Oh, this is what happened in Rio de Janeiro. Well, we can do that in Johannesburg. And these kind of connection networks is really very important. What we have done also in UN Habitat as one of the very few UN agencies, that we have opened a transparency site, which means that we have opened our archives. That means that anyone can go in and see exactly what we are doing. So if you live in Kenya, you can go in and click on the Kenyan map, you get a list of all our projects. Now, mayors, they can do this, and they can see, ooh, I can see that UN Habitat is doing this in Pakistan, and I would be very interested. And then we help people to meet on the internet, but also to meet in reality and to discuss these issues.
Now, with the four of us here, is that, Thomas, I'd like to ask you, is that how can Kenya connect with Zambia? How can your initiative help connect Zambia and Kenya together? And also, the health initiatives going on worldwide, how do you connect MedAfrica globally? This session is about empowering communities, and we're not only talking about Kenya and the African region, but we're talking about connecting globally. We are here at a live stream talking to people globally. We're connected virtually. How do we do that, Thomas?
What we are doing is that we are running every second year something called World Urban Forum, where people meet in reality. Leading up to these forums, where everyone that is really interested about urban development, they turn up. It's ministers, it's NGO, it's different parts of the society. But leading up to these, we have e-debates. So we start a subject that is of interesting to our partners, and we have several of these e-debates, which are monitored by institutions or individuals that are very knowledgeable. So for a couple of weeks, we would have a debate on public transport, on pedestrians, or on aging populations, or maybe on slum upgrading. And then we collect from these e-debates incoming thinking from the whole world, and that generates the program for our big forums when people are coming to discuss it.
All right, with that, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard is that we can all work together. We are a community here. There's a community sitting up there, e-debates. We can do it virtually, we can do it physically by having meetups. So let's get acting and let's work together. Thank you very much. John, over to you.